Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. So today we are doing another makeup tutorial. Now I know that you guys have been loving these drugstore makeup looks that I've been doing, so I tried my best to gather all new drugstore products, not new as in newly purchased, but new as in products that differ from my last drugstore video to create this look right here. Hopefully I did you guys proud, but if you want to see how I got this look with no lashes at that, then definitely keep on watching. So make sure you grab a snack or your makeup brushes, whichever you prefer. But before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell notification on so you can be notified every single time I upload, which is every Wednesday and Friday. With all of that, let's just jump into today's video. We're gonna go ahead and jump right in. I do have my lids primed and set, ready to go. That's pretty boring. Nobody wants to see me set my lids. So we're gonna jump into the palette. Now today's eyeshadow palette is from Profusion. You guys have seen me use their palette before on my channel. This palette in specific though, reminds me of a higher end palette, but I know you guys have been loving my drugstore videos. So we're gonna try and create another fall look using this palette right here, which I'm sure you guys will love. So we're gonna jump right in, and I'm gonna go ahead and use Slippers, which is like this bone colored shadow, just to kind of brush a little something in my crease and kind of set that area. Although I did go on top of my lids with like a translucent powder, which was the Rimmel translucent powder, by the way. I am gonna use this in my crease. Not too much, just a little something. Now I wanna go ahead and take Likeable in the palette. So Likeable is this one right here, and I'm going to just dab my brush in there and then actually use this in my crease as well. I'm making sure I grab quite a bit of this product. I don't want to be light-handed at all. I really want to make sure I'm packing on this shadow, especially because it is so light. So if I go little by little, it'll take me longer to like build it up to what I want it to be, instead of just going in with the heavy hand to start, just because it is so light. So now you can kind of see that color a little bit, not too much, but you can see it a little bit. So the next shadow that I want to go into is called Camel. So Camel is right here, right next to it. It's a little bit deeper than Likeable, and I'm gonna pack this on the outer corner first. So I'm gonna do this to start on both sides. Then I'll take this same brush, tap it off a little bit, and then start blending that. So I'm gonna blend it on my outer corner, but I'm also going to take this shadow in the crease as well. I really do find that these shadows are easy to just like mix and blend together. Profusion is very, very affordable, and you definitely get what you pay for. You know, sometimes it can be a miss, I won't even lie, with some palettes, but so far so good with this one. So as you can see, it's like soft and warm, but obviously I want to add that depth. So I'm gonna take now a mix of Boost and Brown Sugar. So Boost is this one, and then Brown Sugar is this one. So I'm gonna mix both of those just to create some type of depth out here on the outer part of my eye, because it is kind of looking like I blended the shadow all over my lid, but really I just want depth out here. And then of course we'll put a different shade in the inner part, and I think I'm gonna go for an all matte look today, no shimmers. So I'm gonna take these two, just kind of mix back and forth between the two. I'm gonna start by tapping it on the outer corner first, and you see it's a little bit deeper than the rest of the shadows that we put on, and this actually pulls a little red orangey. So I'm just gonna blend this up. You guys love the way I like describe shadows. I'm like the worst. Don't ever ask me to describe color, texture, any of it. I'm just terrible with my descriptions. When you are placing these two shadows on your outer corner, do not be afraid to really dig into the pan, like swirl your brush in those shadows and really pack it on, especially if you want a lot of depth like me. Because if you just go in light-handed, then I mean it'll show, but it won't be as much as a transition as you might think. So just really, really pack it on, And since we are putting our eyeshadow on before our base makeup, it's perfectly fine if I have any fallout because I can easily clean that up. Like, it's not even a problem. So if you are doing your eyes first like me, by all means, go in. So I think that's pretty good for now. Now what I am gonna do is go ahead and cut my crease. Normally I wouldn't, but I really feel like for this look, I really wanna cut the crease a little bit and kind of give it that more defined type of look. And for my crease shade, again, it is gonna be matte, not a shimmer. If I was going in with a shimmer, I probably wouldn't care so much to cut my crease, but with matte shadows as like the cut part of the crease, then I really want to kind of perfect that. So I'm gonna cut my crease really quickly. All right, so our lids have been cut with a little bit of concealer. Now we're gonna go ahead and use both yellow shades. Well, there's 3 in this palette, but we're gonna use the 2 at the bottom called Serendipity and Buttercup. So it's these 2 shades right here. And I was gonna use this one, but I feel like it might be a little too light. So we'll see what the 2 look like together. And if we need to add a little bit of the other one, we will. So I'm using a Morphe M152 just to press this on my lid. Wow, look at that pigment. That is really pretty. And I really do not feel the need to go into that other yellow shade. So now that we have the yellow shadows placed, I'm gonna go into only brown sugar, which is this one out here in the outer corner. And I'm gonna use this shadow to deepen all of this up because we don't want, it kind of seems like it's been over blended a little bit to where it's fading. So you don't want that. You want it to be just as pigmented as everything else. So I'm really just gonna pack this color out here and just work on blending it all. So we are pretty much done with our eyeshadow for now. Obviously later on we'll work on the bottom lash line, or maybe I'll just kind of cut that part out because honestly all I'm gonna do is blend the same shadows that I did at the top at the bottom. But I'm gonna take this little cotton round with a little bit of micellar water and I'm just gonna clean up any fallout that I may have underneath here. I really do not like using makeup wipes anymore. I don't. The only thing I use makeup wipes for is to clean, like, you know, my desk, but for my face, absolutely not. So cleaning up the fallout, and this dries pretty quickly, so I don't even have to worry about that. So to prime my face, I'm gonna go ahead and use the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, and I'm just gonna stick to just this one primer today. I have always been the type of person to use multiple primers, as all of you, or most of you, I shouldn't say all of you, but most of you know, who have been watching me for a while, know that I like to use at least 2, but I've been really trying to minimize my primers on my face and all of that. Like, you guys can tell, my skin's going through something and I'm really letting it show, so minimizing my primers. And because this is drugstore, or I'm trying to keep it as much of drugstore products as I can, I decided to use this one. Otherwise I would definitely use the Tatcha Silk Canvas just because of the skincare benefits. I really love a primer outside of like Milk Makeup, Hydro Grip, and e.l.f. Jelly Pop. I really love primers that feel a lot like skincare, and that is definitely one of them. This one also feels like skincare, but again, it doesn't have the actual skincare benefits, so that's why I would have used the Tatcha over this one. But again, keeping it drugstore. So that's all the primer I'm gonna put on my face, and now I'm gonna use a little bit of the Pixie by Petra just to color correct a little bit underneath my eyes, like in the inner corner part. It's a little bit of darkness underneath there, so I wanna brighten it up a little bit, but not too much. And I'm not gonna put this all over my face either. Like, I'm trying to keep the products light as well with the application, especially now because of everything that's going on. So less is more, essentially. Now let's jump into foundation. So for foundation today, I'm going to use this one. This is from e.l.f. This is their Flawless Finish Foundation. Mine is in Cashew, which is medium with olive undertones. Now I have used this before on my channel. I actually got this shade and another shade. that I definitely didn't pull out because it is definitely too dark. But I'm gonna go ahead and use this one today. I can't really remember how I felt about this foundation. I mean, I think I liked it overall, but it's admittedly not a foundation that I obviously gravitate towards or grab or reach very often. But we are gonna use it today, just trying to keep it drugstore. And I went through a lot of my foundations and threw a lot of them away because I've had them for quite some time, so I had to get rid of them. So we're gonna go ahead and use this one because again, your girl is short on foundations. All right, you guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not crazy about the foundation on me right now. Maybe that's just mostly due to everything going on with my skin, and I was really trying not to use too much product, especially underneath the foundation and all of that. But I'm gonna go ahead and just use a little bit of the Maybelline Superstay foundation. I did use this in my last video, and it's one that I do love. It definitely has coverage, a lot more coverage than the e.l.f. one. So I'm just gonna apply a little bit of this with my brush just to add some coverage because I need it. All right, you guys, I feel so much better about the coverage of the foundation now that I've mixed in a little bit of the Maybelline. So we're gonna move on to concealer. So I am not sure, I'm really hoping this is like affordable at the very least, but this is the Pretty Vulgar concealer and I'm gonna use this. I really didn't know what other concealer to use outside of e.l.f. and I was really trying to make it a point to use products that I didn't use in my last drugstore video. So again, I'm really hoping that this is at least affordable, but if not, I hope you guys can forgive me. So I am gonna put this underneath my eyes. Now this concealer is not so much of a brightening concealer for me. It's more so like my skin tone. So don't expect too much of a brightening effect. It's also not full coverage, which I don't hate. I really like the way this concealer performs. It blends out so nicely and it just gives a nice natural finish. All right, so now that we have all of that blended out, we're gonna jump into cream contour. Now again, trying not to make this like my last drugstore video. Yesterday I went to the mall, which is a little bit further from where I live, not my normal malls that I normally travel to, and they had Primark. Now Primark is a store that I've never been into, and I've never even seen one until yesterday. And I actually went in and oh my gosh, I was blown away. First and foremost, they have so many great things. It was ridiculous. But they have pretty much everything that you can think of: clothes, bags, shoes, makeup. So of course, you know, I shopped the makeup aisle and I picked this up. This is their PS My Perfect Color concealer stick, but I got it in the shade, I believe it's coconut. No, not coconut. What is the shade on here? Chestnut. And I'm gonna use this as my cream contour today. So I don't know how dark it's gonna be or anything like that. So we're just gonna really put this to the test. Ooh, that's dark. I'm a little scared. Okay, maybe we should blend that one out first, just because I'm really unsure. So I'm gonna use my sponge and just blend this, but that looks like really dark. I'm not used to, it almost looks, I don't know. That might be too dark, guys. Maybe I went too deep. I mean, it blended pretty good. You can't really see it. Okay, let's do the other side. It's just very dark and creamy. Like, I want me a lip color like that. Not my contour. Let me see. It blended out very nicely. This was only $1.50, but I might have went too dark, like way too dark. I'm not used to chestnut being that dark. I don't know. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and use my Wet n Wild contour stick just to do the rest of my face. Like, it's definitely a difference. It's definitely more warm. That's very cool tone, but it's also like almost like gray in a way, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna try and correct my mistake. just use this. Now for bronzer, I'm gonna go ahead and use the butter bronzer. I'm gonna use both deep bronzer and butter, and I'm gonna mix the two just to kind of get my perfect like shade. I'm just gonna put this all over. The butter bronzers are very nicely formulated, specifically in this palette. I have mentioned before that the actual butter bronzer that I own, the individual outside of this palette, to me does not perform the same as the one in here. I don't know what it is about this versus that. Pretty sure it's the same thing, but I guess it's all in my head. And I really, really love this palette. We haven't even set our face yet, but I sometimes like to put bronzer on before setting the rest of my face because to me, it just makes me feel like I'm using less product. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the Maybelline Fit Me. This is their loose setting powder, and this one is in light medium. So I'm just gonna take this, and actually I'm gonna use like a brush like this just to set my under eyes and my T-zone initially. And then I'll kind of like bake on top of this with a little bit more powder, but not too much. So I'm just taking a light amount now, and then we'll go on top of it again. Now we're going to kind of set it or preset it, I guess, just like to melt all this powder into our skin. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the e.l.f. Microfine Setting Mist. So as you guys can see, it melted everything into the skin, and we don't look like we just like dipped our face in powder, but we are gonna move into blush, and I'm gonna go ahead and use this one from Burt's Bees. This is their Toasted Cinnamon Blush, which is my favorite for fall. I really love a brown toned blush, but if I can find my blush brush. So we're gonna go ahead and apply this, and I'm still gonna do just like I do with all the other blushes that I've been applying lately. Just right here on the upper part of my cheek, not so much the apples, if I even have them, but no different than that, and just really concentrate the blush right here. Also gonna take it on my nose, of course, and it just all comes together, especially with a look like this. I think the blush ties in very, very nicely to this whole look. So I did go ahead and apply my bottom lash line colors and all of that. Again, just took the same shadows that we used at the top and blended them at the bottom completely from outer corner to inner corner. And then we are going to finally finish off with a little bit of highlight. Now, I don't want too much highlight, which is why I chose this one for today's look, because it's not that pigmented in my opinion, but it gives you a little something. So I thought this would be perfect to use. This is the Morphe High Impact Highlighter in the shade Extra. So we are going to get a little bit of this and apply it. So again, I like to focus my highlight out here. And you know, it shows up, but it's not doing too much. It's more of like a brightening effect more than a shimmering effect in my opinion. But when the sun hits it, it does look so natural. And you know, who doesn't like a little bit of highlight? I just don't want too much, because I do want the overall look to come off as matte. So just the tiniest bit in the middle. Tap it out with my finger, and that's all the highlight we will use, and that pretty much completes the look. Now I will be putting on mascara. For mascara, I'm gonna go ahead and use the Telescopic from L'Oreal. I love this mascara, especially if I'm not wearing lashes. And that brings me to today's kind of dilemma, because I told you guys I was gonna do eyeshadow look without lashes, but I also picked up these, which are drugstore. These are from Salon Perfect, and these are in the style 681. So I'm gonna apply my mascara and see how I feel about the overall look without lashes, and if I feel like I really need lashes for this particular look, then I will put these ones on. I don't think there will be any problem with me putting mascara on with this, but it's just what you're comfortable with. All right, you guys, so I decided no lashes for me today. I feel like this look came out very, very well together, and it it looks really good without lashes. And that mascara, the Telescopic from L'Oreal, is definitely a staple. So if you don't have it in your collection, you definitely should go and snatch that one up because it just elongates the lashes very, very nicely. If I would have done a better job at like curling my natural lashes before applying the mascara, it probably wouldn't lay so flat. But overall, I really love the mascara, the look, the eyeshadow, and all the face products that we used. Now again, the e.l.f. foundation is not a foundation that I totally hate. I just feel like because of everything going on with my skin right now, it's not the best foundation for me to use. I need a little bit more coverage. So Maybelline, the Superstay, came through clutch. Also the contour stick that I used, or their concealer stick from Primark. Now this, again, I did not think that chestnut would be that deep in color, but it blended out beautifully. It was just still too dark. Like even though it blended out nicely, it kind of gave like that dark, like gray almost undertone, and I really didn't want that for a contour. So now I know better, and I will go back and I will pick up a lighter shade this time, and you know, hopefully it'll work out. But overall, I think that the look came out really well. Hopefully you guys like it too. Let me know what you think down in the comments, as always, down below. With all of that, I'm going to close out today's video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next tutorial.